Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and welcome back to another video where today we're going to talk Year 2. Now, if you saw my previous video recapping this last week's State of the Game, you'll note that I said I wanted to do a video discussing some of the things of greater significance that seem to be lingering in the air, some hints that the devs have been dropping, and things they've been alluding to. Well, here we are with that video. I want to go over all of these small hints and bits of information that we have about Year 2 and the future of Division 2, and use that to craft what I believe is a roadmap that has at least a decent chance of turning out to be true. So, let's get into it. To start off, I'm going to list off all of the mentions that we have of the devs outright stating what is coming in the future of the game, as well as elaborating on some less obvious hints that we've gotten. First, and most obviously, we know that there is a new content drop coming alongside Gear 2.0. To be specific, Thylander said on State of the Game that there will be a new power cap, new things to play, and new gear to acquire. Now, while they haven't stated it specifically, I'd say it's a pretty safe bet that there's going to be a new World Tier. They could do a gear score increase within World Tier 5, but I feel that by them saying there's going to be new things to play, that goes hand in hand with the idea of them introducing a new World Tier, which, by nature, means that there's going to be at least one new stronghold. Could there be more? We'll get to that. Next, we have some smaller statements of fact by the devs, both within the past 3 State of the Games, where they've revealed stuff about the upcoming Gear 2.0 changes, as well as the things for Episode 3 and Specialization 6. We've had 2 confirmations for the future. One was last week, where Drew specifically stated that Hunters will be making a return in Division 2. That alone brings some heavy implications to what could be in store. The other was a few weeks back in one of the developer Q&A segments they've started to do on State of the Game, which usually proves to be pretty pointless in the questions that they ask. However, this one was an exception. In a question pertaining to named items, the developer being interviewed explicitly stated that in the future they'll be nearly doubling the current number of named items in the game. Considering we have about 30 in the game right now, I believe that's a significant amount of things to be added. Now we get into what's mostly speculatory territory on my part, but bear with me here. It was reported on during its development that Division 2 had one of the largest development teams in the video game industry's history, with over 1,000 people and 5 studios collaboratively working on it, if my memory is serving me correctly. That's pretty huge. Now, clearly Ubisoft has a multi-focused company, and not all of these people are solely tied to the Division franchise, but you'd have to imagine that a good portion of them still are. So that begs the question, what have they been doing? Making 6 new main missions, 1 half-baked game mode, a raid, 2 conflict maps, and 1 new conflict game mode over the course of the last year? The point of this video is not to dwell on the severely lackluster content that we've gotten for Year 1, but to a certain degree you have to consider why and how it's turned out like this. Just look at Redstorm, the PvP guys. What have they been doing? It was made public knowledge that their studio alone brought the majority of the 1.8 update for Division 1, one of, if not the largest content update ever brought to that game. And now the most they can do is make 2 new conflict maps and 1 new game mode? I mean, the last time we saw them was on State of the Game talking about the DZ changes for TU6. Are we really supposed to believe that that's all they've come up with since launch? Lastly, we come to one of the very first pieces of information we ever got about Division 2, ironically. It was way back at E3 2018, just after the game had had its first reveal trailer. Julian Garrity, who's the top creative director on the Division franchise, came on stage to reveal the sparing but exciting information. Among other things, he had one clear statement. All of our Year 1 content will be entirely free. Did you catch that? Year 1. Ever stop to wonder why they stated that explicitly? Here's what I'm getting at. I think we've been going about our ideas and preconceived structure for post-launch content completely wrong, because we only ever have had one model to go off of, and that's Division 1's. We'd get moderately sized updates every few months that brought new items, new content, and all the works. So now that we haven't gotten that in Division 2, we're all left in confusion. Something else to keep in mind is that for the most part, people didn't like the monetary strategy of Division 1. People didn't like shelling out $15 per expansion throughout the year, and there's no doubt in my mind that the devs took note of that. So, what are their other options? Well, let's look at one of Division's competitors within the looter-shooter genre, Destiny. What do? They have small content updates throughout the year, and then on a yearly cycle from when the game launches, they drop one major expansion. And in my mind, people are probably more likely to make a one-time purchase for an abundance of new content rather than several purchases for smaller increments. So yes, if it wasn't already clear, my theory is that there's going to be a paid, major content and game expansion to kick off Year 2. It's going to come alongside the free Gear 2.0 and game rebalancing changes, which are huge by themselves, as well as this major content drop. It'll most likely have a new storyline and campaign leading up to World Tier 6, tons of new gear, new weapons, new gear sets and exotics, all those new named items, hell, maybe even new brands. But perhaps most importantly, I think it's going to have a major map expansion. either in DC or it's now outside the realm of possibility that we could get a new city. Like I said, there's a lot of devs that have had a whole lot of time to work on something, so I think this is what it is. Hell, we could even be going back to New York City. How enticing will that expansion be to buy? A new story, a new city, new replayable game modes, a brand new RPG system that, from what we've seen, looks to be pretty awesome. And like I said, Red Storm has been pretty notably absent these last 9 months. How much do you want to bet that this map expansion features one large DZ with completely redone mechanics that encompasses all of the community feedback from the DC ones? It may seem far-fetched, but I'm actually pretty confident that we're going to see some form of this kind of content drop. But then again, maybe not. Maybe we just get a moderately sized one alongside Gear 2.0 and they muddle their way through the next 2 years to Division 3. Or perhaps Ubisoft has decided that Division isn't a breadwinner anymore and they've cut their development team and funds. Who knows? But at the end of the day, this is the conclusion I've come to with the information that we've been given thus far. The real question is, what do you guys think? Could we see a major game expansion akin to the Destiny model, or are we just in for more disappointment? Whatever you think is coming, I want to hear about it. Leave your thoughts on what Division 2's future may hold in the comments below, and let me know what you think about the feasibility of my theory. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I post a new video. And until the next one, guys, RogueGold, out.